Welcome back to the Marching Arts Podcast. I am the Stress Master.
And I am Kanan, and I am also rocking. Hold on.
Oh. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I actually ordered merch. It should be here in a few days. I ordered stuff for myself and my daughter and my wife. And I'm going to show it to you guys so you guys can see it on our next video.
Well, that's what all the cool kids are wearing, and you can get yours down below in the store.
Yeah, that's right.
Buy your own swag. Subscribe while you're down there, because me and Justin are looking at wanting to get some different recording options that actually cost some money.
Yeah.
And we ain't got enough subscribers to be able to afford that right now. So come on, help us out.
Help us out. Subscribe. Because, you know, it's a common statistic on YouTube, like between 60 and 80% of people that watch videos never subscribe to the channel.
It's crazy that.
That's a lot. And ours is consistently about 62 to 68%. So that's two-thirds of everybody that watches does not subscribe. And I'm going to, I don't have this right now, but I'm going to post it after the fact. We have now 275,000 views on our videos. That's a lot of views. That's a lot of views. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate that.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that watched us spout our bullshit.
That's exactly. And one of our videos just passed 25,000 views.
Really now? Wow.
Yes, sir. The 2024 compilation passed 25,000 views.
Is that the one where we don't actually say anything and we don't show our faces?
Correct. We don't say a thing.
Maybe we're doing this whole YouTube thing all wrong.
We have been doing it wrong since the beginning, so it's all good. We're gonna keep doing it wrong.
And we'll continue to do so.
And we're gonna continue to do so. So
the drum corps season is just around the corner, isn't it? You excited?
It is around the corner. I'm very excited, and I actually got to see the Mandarins last night. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. I wasn't able to record the show. I wasn't able. I had recorded. I'd done this whole video. I had recorded the warm-ups, and then they said, "Oh, well, we don't want anybody to post anything at all." I'm like, okay. It would have been nice.
Did you hit up JW and say, "Come on, man, you're a friend of the show"?
Yeah, well, I did see JW actually and said hello, but I think I understand why, but it's just like, and we can talk about that later, because we had a conversation before we even started this video about this whole exact topic about anticipation.
Rather than wait till later, let's just talk about it now. I mean, I think on the one hand, I can understand building suspense and all that. On the other hand, I do think it's that sometimes it's a little bit silly. It almost seems like it's a social media arms race to see who can generate the most buzz. Well, we're what, a week away from the season. Why not just let us start hearing what we're actually doing now? Let's see. I mean, this idea of waiting until the very first show, and I've heard the excuse about, well, we don't want the judges to see it. Well, the judges already have their preconceived notions anyway, and.
Yeah.
And the argument could then be made, well, if you release too early, then the judges have a thought about what you're going to be. Well, then troopers are screwed, and I don't think they are. I think they're going to be a very good drum corps. So, I just think it's all a bit silly.
And honestly, I mean, even if a judge sees something, if they see the before and then they see him again on the field, it might help you, because now you're better. You're way better than what they saw a week ago, I mean,
I suppose the other argument sits around copyright and all that stuff, but
true.
I'm not trying to be funny, but drum corps these days, they're planning their shows probably 2 or 3 years ahead of time. They should have the copyright sorted before they even hit the first winter rehearsal. So, and if they don't, more fool them.
Sorry, I had a cough. And the other thing I was going to say is, I did a video. It's going to be up here in the corner, kind of about this exact topic we're talking about right now, and like how I don't even know what to expect from this season, because we don't know anything. How are we supposed to even anticipate or have this, anticipation about a show, or, oh my God, I can't wait to see this show, when we don't know anything about it other than just a fancy video about their uniform reveal or a fancy video about their show concept. And it's like, give us a little piece, give us something. And I actually do have something to share with all of you that maybe you're not aware of that I actually came across just randomly on YouTube. So Kanan, I'm telling you, your opinion might change about something. So shall we get started with that?
Yeah, go on then.
All right, let me share my screen. It's going to take a moment. Our first little piece of information is Phoenix Drum and Bugle Corps. So I've never heard of this drum corps before.
I'm not going to lie. I've not either. I know they're from Silver City, New Mexico. I believe there might be a new unit.
So what caught my attention was, I think it's their press release, and I don't have it here, so I'll have to find it. But they said they're going to be kind of like VK, like Velvet Knights.
Let's do it.
I know. And if you anything about the show reveal here called Free Range is Everything, Bourbon Street Chicken, and House of the Rising Sun.
Maybe if I may, real quick, for those younger members that maybe don't know what VK is, maybe a little bit of a somewhere on the screen here, maybe just a little bit of a cut to them, but VK were special, you know. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, VK was definitely a one-of-a-kind corps that we have never seen since. They were around from the 60s until the 96 was their last season, I believe.
But they only went ham in the mid-'80s.
Yes. But they and you're going to be seeing the video up here, but my God, they did some crazy stuff. They threw everything in the kitchen sink into their shows. Like, just total craziness and height. I mean, they should have won GE.
I think it was 92. I think they literally had a kitchen sink in the pit.
They did. And that was one of their best shows. I think that's their iconic show now. I think when everybody talks about VK, they see that show. But 88 was good. 89 was good.
I slightly disagree with you there, if I'm honest with you. 92 was great. 92 was one of the epic all-time drum corps shows, and I will fight anybody, and I will die on that hill. Okay. That being said, I think if you go back and watch them 87 and 88 specifically, I think those were actually better drum corps. Those were very good drum corps.
Oh yeah, they could play. They could play. They always had really good drum lines, like amazing drum lines. Good soloists, even though most of them were probably overage, but it's okay. But 92, I think that was the culmination of their shows, where they just everything hit on all cylinders. The funny was funny. The creative
and don't
was
forget
creative.
As well, they missed finals in 91 when they did a somewhat straight Motown show in 91, fell flat on their face, and they came back in 92 and just said, right, just throw it all out there and let the chips fall where they may.
No, and that show, I mean, and we competed against them, and they beat us deservedly. They were so much better than us. They were way better than us. Okay, let's move along. So, I mean,
anyway,
I just thought this was hilarious.
Phoenix, yeah, come on. They've got a chicken.
Copacabana, Moonlight Piccata, Chicken Piccata.
Hen House of the Rising Sun. Come on.
Is this even real? I mean, is this a real drum corps?
So it is. And now Eric Carr, I think his name is, from EMC Productions. Obviously a really big YouTube channel. Anybody in the drum corps space will know who he is. Hey, Eric, if you're watching, love to have you come on the show sometime. Be amazing to collab with you. But I do believe he's involved with Phoenix. And I know that the whole, the rubber chickens where you squeeze them, they go, make that crazy noise. I know that's a big part of his channel. So this has Eric Carr written all over it.
No, okay. Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm actually going to actively look for them. Our next corps, we're going to talk about a specific Crest. This is very much like Boston Crusaders. Garden of Eden kind of a show, I'm assuming. Saying my internet connection is unstable, which is interesting because I have 2 gigabytes download. But anyway, sorry. But I like the artwork here, but it's very Garden of Eden, very much so. Here is their music selections. Fantasy Symphony Number 10. How I'd Kill. I have no clue who Cowboy Malfoy is. Jealous by Labyrinth. Better Have My Money by Rihanna. Okay. Das Aire by Giuseppe Verdi. To Die For from The Lion King. Okay. So this kind of goes to the formula thing that I was talking about, how they have a show concept and then they go, let's find music to wrap around the show concept instead of the music being the show concept, which I don't have a problem with because I think it's been pretty successful for a lot of groups. But this is kind of that's a formula I was talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I have thoughts about this. I mean, I look at Pacific Crest, and obviously we're flirting with finals. We've been flirting with finals for a couple of years now. I would argue, actually, I thought not last year, but the year before, the show, the show where they had like the beach on the field and all that stuff. I thought that show actually should have made finals. But I think last year they took a big swing at the fence, and it wasn't quite a swing and a miss, but it certainly wasn't out of the park. And again, we missed last year. I do like the idea of I love the play of words of the show title. I hope that the color palette matches what I'm seeing in the press releases. I like the imagery. I'm not quite sure how the music works, but the folks that design modern drum corps shows, they're way smarter than you and me, and they seem to have a way of making these things work. What I hope for Pacific Crest is, look, I'm not going to lie, I want Pacific Crest to make finals. I'm not sure who they make finals at the expense of, because I'm also a huge Madison fan, especially after last year.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Madison drop. But I want Pacific Crest to make finals, and I hope they retained the core of that talent from last year. So
okay, so you can see by the logo here, which I didn't apparently just messed up, and we had to re-record it. It's Blue Knights. They've had this logo since the '90s, right?
I love the dots.
I love the dots too. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the dots. There's iconic.
Certain logos to me that are just eponymous with certain organizations. Blue Knights is the dots. BD has had the same logo since the dawn of time. Santa Clara has had the same logo since the dawn of time. And need I say more? BAC. Come on.
That's right. So the music you're going to hear is not their music that they put under this video because it'll get copyrighted. So I always take that music out because I'm going to get copyrighted and we're going to have to remove it. So here we go. This is their show reveal. Lots of water. Maybe I can leave that in because there's no music. It's just is it repeating? It's just repeating. Okay, so that really doesn't tell us anything at all about their show. Not a darn thing.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
Okay, but
I find it really, really, really difficult to get excited about that. Sorry.
I know.
Swing and a miss.
Give us something. Give us like I said in my video, I keep referencing the video because I think it's kind of poignant now because it's making its point. Give us something to be excited about. I mean, this video is cool, but maybe have this part here and then have something from rehearsal, or you don't even have to play the music, just have like the core synergy moving, or something happening. But it's just like, I don't know. I mean, these are cool videos and people spend a lot of time working on them and they look cool, but it doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't get us excited about anything,
For me,
get me excited.
I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, which is, I know, new for me. I've never claimed to be particularly a Blue Knights fan, and that's no slight on the kids. I say that all the time. I generally am not a fan of their design choices, and that is firmly on the design staff and not the performers. That being said, that usually ends up being the core that I'm going to get a hot dog during. Sorry, Yeah. And this to me is screaming hot dog, and I don't want it to. That's the thing. Now let me try to rescue my comment here a little bit. I don't want a hot dog core. I don't want any core to be a hot dog core. Okay, but this drop here says, okay, there's where I'm getting my hot dog. Because there's nothing about that excites me. There's nothing about that makes me interested to find out more. Sorry, dripping water.
Yeah, and it's not a slight at people in general. I just think it's the trend that everybody's going for now. Everybody's following the same trend, right?
To me, the last great Blue Knights show was that 1 second. That's it. What was that? Nearly a decade ago?
Yeah, and you know what's so last year I saw Blue Knights here in California, and they were the loudest core on the field. They were louder than Blue Devils. They were louder than Santa Clara. They were louder than everybody. And I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. They're freaking loud. They're going to be good if they can fine tune this show and really push it. They could probably make top 12, no problem. And then they ended up making top 12 with that show. That was 2 years ago, right? Was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago they made finals.
2 years ago. Sorry, 2 years ago. And it's just kind of like the trend everybody's following now of like,
as I called it, the whips and chains show.
Yeah, the whips and chains show. We really don't get in, like, we're not building the anticipation. But anyway, let's go ahead and move forward. I'm going to switch. Next up is Blue Knights. We have their uniform reveal. So here we go. A lot of rust orangey colors with. And this is Blue Knights. Okay.
Go back and pause it on that last shot. So what do I think of this? I'm not going to say that I don't like it because I think that rust color on the field works pretty well. I think it contrasts the green of the field and the black of the backdrop you have at Indianapolis quite well. I thought it worked really well for Pacific Crest last year. I'm not sure that what's with jumpsuits? Why is everyone in jumpsuits all of a sudden?
I don't know.
But I think that the crinkle at the waist is a bit weird. I think that works for your thinner players and doesn't work for somebody who's got a 1980s baritone player midsection.
Yeah, same here.
I think that the detail of the obvious, I'm guessing those are plumbing pipes, I guess. I think that's going to be completely lost. I think it's pointless. Guard looks good.
Yeah, so it's I'm perplexed. I like the color, I do like the color combination, don't get me wrong, but I agree. I don't understand what the plumbing. I know it's about water or drip or whatever, but do we have to get super literal like that? But it may work on the field. We never know. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like on the field. All right.
The next uniform reveal we have is Blue Devils. They still look like Blue Devils, so I'm happy about that. So here we go. Let's take a look. And once again, this music is not going to be the music that you're going to see like on YouTube or Facebook is not the music here. So just so you guys know, I have to replace it. I like the uniforms as always.
Hey, Alex.
It's less blue than normal, like with the core proper. They can really move in those uniforms, though. Okay.
Right, you first.
Okay. I don't. I liked them better than some of the previous years. I'm not a big fan of like the skirt look, like where they have like those like big gigantic skirt looking things. I do think they can move really well in these. You can see that they're able to move pretty darn well, which I think is going to help them. It's less Blue Devils than it was the previous years. Like it doesn't look like the Blue Devils as much. To me.
Right?
Yeah, watch. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
All right, yeah, come on then.
Right here. That does not look like Blue Devils.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
How okay, when have you
Go
ever
back and look at a classic Blue Devils uniform. That's the color palette of a classic Blue Devils uniform right there. Blue, black, and white.
No. They have blue I mean, they have black pants, blue jackets, but it's a bright blue. The white definitely wasn't as prominent. In more recent years, they've had purples, they've had different colors, which I didn't mind. But I think this is a less Blue Devils looking uniform. You guys tell us your comments and thoughts below. But I don't think this looks like a Blue Devils uniform.
I could not disagree with you more. And now that is not just because I am an unashamed, unabashed Blue Devils fan. I admit it, readily so. That being said, I'm really looking forward to this show, quite frankly. And I hated the capes last year. And I made no bones about the fact that I hated the capes last year. I like this. It's a clean look, okay? Mm-hmm. It's an athletic look as well. I'm noticing some different shades of blue here. It looks like maybe some sections are wearing darker blue, some sections are wearing turquoise, which is obviously then brought together by the guard. I would maybe like to see a little bit more of a contrasting color from the guard, but the point I'm trying to make is that no matter the year, and we live in an age of costumes now, old people get over it, okay? Yeah. It is what it is.
It is.
Okay? And for me, I will use on this isn't me picking on them, it's just it's the first one that came to mind. When I looked last year at Crossman, my first thought was, who the hell is that? I don't have that with this. So if you go back to the dawn of time from when costuming became a thing and uniforms became less of a thing, to me, the Blue Devils look the same at first glance every single time. And this isn't me picking on them, but I'll use as an example the Crossman last year. When I saw last year's Crossman uniform, there was absolutely nothing at all about that uniform to me that said Crossman. It didn't look like the Crossman at all, okay? I would argue it would say blue coats as well, except that we kind of expect blue coats to be way over the top now. But again, at first glance, there was nothing about that uniform that screamed blue coats. Whereas the Blue Devils, every single year, they look like the Blue Devils.
Okay.
There's no doubt when you look at them. Now, the thing that I think, Justin, that may be throwing you off with this uniform, you mentioned the skirts. So for the last several years, the blue, except for last year when they had a cape, for the last several years, they've had some sort of a skirty, sort of flowy design down the leg. And that's typically where you found the color down the leg. We don't have that skirt now. We've actually just put the color directly on the leg. And maybe that's what's throwing you off a bit.
What's throwing me off is the top. It's white and black. They've always had blue on top. And that's where it's kind of throwing me.
In 88 and 89.
Well, yeah,
black has always been a dominant color in the Blue Devils.
Yeah, in 88 they were all gray.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see in this.
Devils.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see in this. If we're gonna really lean into the Blue Devils colors, I'd like to see the Blue Devils maybe work in some fuchsia into this.
I wouldn't mind that. All right, so we're getting to kind of our last few things here, but the Mandarins. So this is their show reveal. I actually got to watch it live last night in California.
Go on, tell us about it before we see it. Tell us what you saw.
Well, let's do the show reveal first, so people have some context, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts and stuff without giving spoilers, because they were very clear they didn't want video recording of any kind or live streaming of any kind.
But we could talk about it.
Yeah, but let's we can definitely talk about it. Here we go. Let's watch it. I like the visuals. All right, it's getting a little loud in my ears. So what are your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts are, I'm really looking forward to this show. I really am. So looking at the last 4 years, actually, no, looking at Mandarins from when they made finals. So they first made finals in 2018. I've actually got them open on another screen here. So we had Life right after, 10th place, Subterra, 10th place.
Good show.
We had obviously Beyond the Canvas, which was the non-judge show, which I thought was brilliant. The Other Side cracked 90 for the first time, and that was a show that had the big singer in it, I believe.
Yes.
Then we had Lightning in a Bottle with Cinematic. We didn't have much of a drop-off last year, as much as people might think. View Kari was 7th place. It was only a point difference from Cinnamon. So what we've done last year is we've maintained ourselves in that top half of the top 12, which is what they really needed to do last year. This is the year that I would expect Mandarins makes that jump. And if I look at the possibility of that happening, I think that this is the year that could possibly happen. I don't think anybody in the. Personally, I think Boston's going to run away with the thing from day one. I really do. I don't think anybody else between 2nd and 6th place is safe at all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that this puts this show could put Mandarins firmly in the mix.
Okay. That's good. I actually saw them last night, and it's kind of hard to tell at the beginning of the season. Because how many years did we see Garfield cadets crashing into each other, and then they end up winning the championship? It's just like, 1990, great example. When we first saw them in 1990, they were just crashing into each other, falling. Like,
oh yeah. I watched a video the other day. What was it? It was on YouTube. It was 89 freelancers at the Riverside show. It was our first show of the year. We looked like shit. We made finals that year. And we improved a lot. I don't put a lot of emphasis on the first few shows I see in a season. I think that we start to see what drum corps are going to be. Obviously, as you mentioned on the previous clip, that we do have a shorter season. Okay. So I think we start to see what a drum corps is going to be probably in about the 2nd to 3rd week of the season. Mm-hmm. That's when we'll know, are they for real or not? But right now I think that JW has massively steadied the helm at Mandarins. We've obviously brought in the percussion team from Pulse, which is only going to improve things.
And I have a comment about that, so we're going to get there.
I think that Mandarins kind of did a little bit of the same of what Pacific Crest did last year as well, in that View Kari only had, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, by the way, but I think that show had a certain limit as to where it could be. I think with Sinnerman, going back to the previous year, in Sinnerman, we're coming off of 3 10th place finishes. And I think that the Mandarins in 2023 would have been like, look, if we can crack top 8, that's great. So they had a show that they could just throw shit into, whereas I think last year it was maybe a little bit reserved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be my observation.
This ain't the year to be reserved. This is the year to go back to that, taking some chances. And if you take those chances, I think that they'll be rewarded for it.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing just so we can have a little bit bigger version of us. So I saw the show. I got to see the warm-ups. I went to every section. So I pit, brass, color guard, and the battery. I actually have recordings of all this stuff. But
there is actually on YouTube somewhere, Justin. There is the horn line playing. Was it Enter the Dragon or something like that?
Yeah.
Which what I'll say from what I saw in that, they have a beautiful ensemble sound. That brass line.
They do. So my first observation is the pit and the battery are much improved over the last couple of years that I've seen them. The battery, especially, when I saw the battery, dude, I was just blown away. And I'm a brass guy. It takes a lot for me. I mean, and I know percussion. I've been around percussion a long time. I've taught winter drumline. I know all that. But their drumline was so clean and so together and had such a swagger about them that I have not seen in the past, if that makes sense. And it's probably because of the change and the hype is a little bit more, and they brought in more talent on the design side, and also on the membership side, I think too, more people wanted to join their group.
But yeah, I think
exactly.
that I think that John Mapes and his team joining Mandarins is possibly the staff steal of the year.
Yeah, and like I said, it was seeing because I watched them 2 years ago. I wasn't able to go last year to the preview show, the Family Day. But when I saw them with Centerman, they were good. Don't get me wrong. This is not a slight on the staff or anything like that. They were good. But this year, when I saw them, it was different. It was a different feeling in that section. Now, talking about color guard, I think the color guard is actually better this year than I've seen him in past years. And I don't think there was this huge staff change there, but I think it was just, like you said, it's a kind of a conveyance of, okay, we have this new design team, and it's kind of elevating all the other sections at the same time. I think they're kind of pushing up, and that's a good thing.
What I would say as well, though, to a little bit of a caveat as well, is when we're talking about percussion, right, is I think that one of the big differences, though, is that percussion has to come out of the gate quickly.
Yes.
Okay. Brass, for some reason, seems to be allowed to mature and grow over the course of a season. Percussion, if they want to be considered a top 6, top 5, top 4, whatever, if they want to be considered amongst that elite category of percussion, they have to come out of the gate very quickly. And
yes.
My prime example for that would be last year Madison Scouts. Okay. Last year Madison Scouts were scoring like 18th to 20th in percussion. You know, for a good portion of the early part of that season. That wasn't an 18th to 20th place percussion line by the time they got to finals, but they were already, I hesitate to use the word slotted, but they were slotted into, they're going to be 12th place in finals, end of discussion. And I don't know, I'm not as learned on the percussion side of things, but to me, that wasn't an 18th place drumline. And even then, they didn't even place in the top 12 in semifinals. So, so I think that percussion, especially percussion performance, out of the gate has to be strong. And I think that is where Mandarin's additions are gonna really benefit them. That again, you went and saw them last night. They might be throwing gigantic clods of dirt everywhere, and I don't know.
They're not. They're clean. They are so clean. And okay, so the hard part about the way I was seeing the show was that I'm in a high school stadium. So the pitch, it's not that high up. So you're getting a lot of the front ensemble speakers coming at you.
Yeah.
Not like when you're in like a Stanford stadium, which you by the time, and it makes a difference, believe it or not, like even a DCI stadium, like a size stadium, because when you have the speakers across the front, you're only getting speaker sound at a certain level. It's once you get above it that you get a mix of the horn line and the speaker sound. So I was kind of getting just speaker sound, and it really wasn't. It wasn't a good audio experience. But
there's a lot to be said for that. For those who don't know, I actually work for an AV company, so there is a lot to be said about that. Yeah,
and so let's talk about the brass real quick. I watched the brass warm up. Great sound, great ensemble sound. And there's a lot, like you said, it's always the beginning of the year. There's room for them to grow. I think that they're on the right path of that, and I think they have a great sound. And honestly, they played with a lot of what's the word? A lot of depth and emotion that I wasn't expecting to hear this early in the season. So I'm glad about
I feel
that.
like there's a but coming though.
There's no buts.
No buts, right?
No buts.
Good.
Now, the show itself, I can't give any spoilers about it. They really lean into the theme, like you see in the visuals of those of falling and stuff like that. So you're going to see that motif throughout the show, which I think works. I think it's a great show. I think what's gonna make the difference is how they pace their season, because we talked earlier, like you don't want to get to your plateau too early, and then you're kind of plateauing into finals. You want to basically push all the way to the very last show. So if they can measure that, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. But there's all right. So I've talked a little bit about the show. I'm going to show you their uniform reveal, which actually shows the props. I didn't want to talk about the props, but you can see them here. It's in their release video they did. Here we go.
Is that all the props?
No. They have different sizes. Maybe that is all of them. That's a majority of them right there. They look really good, by the way. Those props look really good on the field, even during daytime. They look really good.
So when you saw them, were they in uniform?
Yes.
Because I think those uniforms must look great on the field.
They look fantastic. I was like surprised. I was just like, man, that was, and like you can see like it comes up here on the neck. It makes them look so tall. Oh man, it looks so good. And then the contrast of the guard uniform. They look really good. And
that you mentioned the contrast of the guard uniform. That makes me happy because my biggest complaint about their look last year is there wasn't enough contrast on the field.
Yeah, agreed.
I would have possibly liked a little bit more contrast on this uniform, but I do like how we've at least got the blue striping on there to kind of accentuate body lines. Last year I thought was a little bit too much of a blob of blue, purple, whatever that color was.
And what you can't really see here is there's some iridescence on the legs in different areas, right. So it pops off the lights. So you see more colors than what's represented here because they have the white jacket.
I'm so looking forward to this show. I'm so looking forward to it.
And the blue lines right here, it makes them look really sleek.
Yeah,
they look clean. Like when they're marching, they look clean. Because
hey JW, we know you watch. Come back on sometime.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on. I didn't get to speak to him very much yesterday. He was super busy because he's running the whole show there. So
yeah.
But I really like the uniforms. You can see the props. They have kind of like purples and oranges and yellow iridescence going on. It really makes a difference on the show. So good job to them. I can't wait to see the show. Yeah, it's a great show. Yeah. All right. So our next victim, as you say, is Carolina Crown. But let's take a watch. I love their imagery. This reminds me of Inferno, kind of. Oh, interesting. Helmets. Wow. They're wearing headgear. Okay.
I'm just going to come out and say it. They look great.
Yeah.
They look great head to toe. Head to toe, they look great. Thank you for having headgear. Headgear absolutely makes that uniform.
Look at that.
They look fantastic.
I'm wondering if they're going to take them off at some point, though, because you can't do body visuals with that on.
They look fantastic. I hope they don't. They look fantastic.
I have a feeling they're going to take them off because I don't think there's any way you can do
Scroll
body
back so
visual.
we can see more of the actual. Yeah, no, I love it. They look fantastic.
Look at that. Pronounced. You're going to see that from up top.
Yeah, you are.
I think in terms of show reveals, this is like a dual, like kind of like, it's a uniform reveal, but it's kind of like they're really kind of going after the show aesthetic, right? I think this is the best one we've seen.
I'm harsh on Crown, not because I don't like Crown. I've got some issues with stuff that their admin have done over this last year or so. We've discussed that in previous episodes.
Yeah.
I'm harsh on Crown because I want Crown to be. 2013 Crown is one of my all-time favorite drum corps shows, right? And that to me is what happens when all facets of an organization are working, right? And to me, every year since 2013, although I would argue 2014 is not necessarily the case, even though they were fifth in 2014, I actually think they were better in 2014 than they were in 13. I think they just got hit with the curse. But every year from that, well, no, it's 2016 is anyway. But it seems like most years there's always one aspect of Crown which is just severely lacking against the rest of the group. Lately, it's been percussion. Okay, um, and I think that if percussion ups their game, which I couldn't really tell from the audio that we've listened to or we're going to listen to. I'm not sure which order you're editing this in. I couldn't really tell. I wouldn't say whether that was clean or dirty based off of that recording. Um, the guard's always going to be good. The brass is always going to be exceptional, and now they've got the look. I I want to say I want to write them off. Every time I want to write them off, I can't.
Yeah. This is some cake recipes that we're gonna watch.
I like a good cake. Carrot cakes. I'm a fan of carrot cake.
I'm not. My dad loved carrot cakes. I can't stand them.
Well, do you know what? This morning I went to. We have a little cafe that my wife and I go to on a Sunday morning for breakfast, called Number 9 in Warrington here. Just give them a little shout out. Not that anybody here is ever going to go to them. Anyway, and they have the most amazing cakes there. So let's talk about cakes. Today I got a strawberry shortcake, which was lovely. But what I'm going to have after my dinner tonight is a banana split cake. I cannot wait.
Whoa, banana split.
Banana split cake is amazing.
All right, I've never heard of that. It sounds delicious.
I wonder if Crown can make a banana split cake.
We'll see. So I found this on YouTube. I'm going to put it in the link of who posted these, but they've been up for a week, so I say it's fair game at this point. And this is a week old. So this is a week old, which means they're a week better. So let's listen to a week old second movement of supposedly. Here we go. That's Pin.
While you're doing that, my thoughts are I was hearing a lot of pit goo. For those who don't know what pit goo is Pit playing the bottom end to accentuate the contras or the tubas, which I'm never a fan of. I have been pretty harsh on Crown this year. So, I found the music hard to follow. It was played well, don't get me wrong, but I found the music hard to follow along to, is what I'll say.
but we don't know what's happening visually there. So,
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. So from an audio only perspective, it's not doing anything for me. I'd like to see how the audio is interacting with what we're actually seeing as well.
and I think they perform next weekend on the 27th on Flow Marching.
Right.
So let's. This is a Crown opener with percussion.
There's that Crown sound.
And this is a week old from today, and it's going to be another week. So that's 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to get better.
What I'll say is that was one hell of an attack from the high brass right at that first high brass hit. That was one hell of an attack. I'm hearing some very recognizable Crown writing, some very recognizable Crown chord progressions. I'm also hearing the Crown tuning progression in there as well. Yeah, it sounds like Carolina Crown to me.
Yep. All right. Let's. Here's the closer. This is 2 weeks ago, so that means it's going to be 3 weeks before we see like the change. And we've all heard this part. Listen to the tubas, man.
Go on, tubas.
And that's from 2 weeks ago. So think how much better it's going to be when we see them next week. It's just crazy to me.
So my thoughts on that initially are tubas, go on. Get on down with your bad selves. I've always been a fan of the Crown tuba section, though. One of my favorite bits of Crown tubas is go back to 2014, the Spaceman show, and listen to the tubas in the closer. Holy crap, they are so good. And Crown's always been known for that really strong lower end. Jen won't mind me saying this because I said this on the last podcast.
I'm sorry.
That is how Phantom Regiment wished they would have played Carmina Burana.
Point taken. You ready for the next part? This is the opener without percussion, I think. So this is just opener. Ready?
Yep. Nice.
Listen to that depth sound.
Like the undertones of Rough Fortuna. Great cutoff.
God damn. Okay, I'm gonna give my thoughts. Without seeing the visual and how it's put together, I mean, and that's a week and 2 weeks ago. So they've gotten 2 weeks better. And when we see them, it's gonna be 2 weeks better. The depth of sound is so pronounced because there's no pit out there. You don't have the pit stuff coming through. So you're just hearing the raw brass sound, and I think that's what's missing in drum corps. That is totally what's missing in drum corps, is that raw sound. But you can't get that from a B-flat horn. You just can't. You have to have so many more B flat horns to equal what we used to have in with a G bugle, right? We used to overplay the pit like nobody's business. Like, I can't hear you at all. Your mic is off.
I was saying, you'll have to go away and find this clip somewhere, but there's a clip from a couple years ago of the Commandant Zone playing I want to say it's called Into Life, I think it is, with about 45 G bugles. I'll find you the clip and send it to you for editing. Good. But anyway, imagine what this core would have sounded like with the current members playing on G bugles. Holy shit, that would be unreal. The beauty of the G bugle is that it made average players sound great, as evidenced by me. But the thing is that you know what? My thoughts on that is that Crown Brass will always be Crown Brass. As long as Matt Harloff and crew is there, Crown Brass will always be contending for the Gemot. It's just that simple. They were third in brass last year. Everybody thought it was a disaster. You know what? Their brass was as good last year as they have been any year. It's just everybody else is that much better. So Crown Brass will always be great. It's hard to judge what you're hearing without seeing because the activity is so visually oriented as well. That being said, what I'm afraid with this version of Crown, and it's going to sound negative, it's not meant to be negative, is that I think that the spread between the top six overall has become so close that it's just as easy for a core to finish second as it is to finish sixth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's not a disrespect on the cores. It's not. It's more a commentary on how much everybody is raised their game. And I waffle on about this week in and week out. Yeah. What does they say? If you're shooting for the moon and you miss by a millimeter here, you miss by miles at the moon.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. That's just the state of the activity. It's that good. So all these old farts saying, well, if they just played on G bugles, I would certainly be the first guy to say, put some G bugles in those kids' hands. But that being said, anybody who thinks that drum corps now is not as good as it was back in the day, go get your hearing and your sight checked because it's better.
Well, tell us your guys' thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Please, positive comments. We don't want to be too negative, right? And hopefully we haven't been too negative. It's just we are trying to be the ambassadors.
Constructively critical.
Yes, the ambassadors of truth and positivity when we can, because we want this activity to succeed. We want this activity to be here in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I'm 80 and 90 years old. So we want it to be there. We love this activity.
Yeah, I think it's more of a case of that. Look, we're constructively critical because, we do love the activity. Both Justin and I as well have experience in show design as well. So we kind of come at it from that perspective. But anything that we say here is meant from that angle. It's not meant just to shit all over somebody. So what I would say though is that one of the things that we are going to be kind of shitting all over is we currently record these episodes on Zoom, and we hate Zoom, and we want to be able to not use Zoom. And one of the ways that you can help with that is we have a subscription option. You can become a channel member. The other option, which is absolutely free, which will help us to our goal also, is if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Subscribe button is down below. And the reason we want to use something other than Zoom is we'd like to improve the quality that you see here. I want to make myself look younger and prettier. That's quite an editing challenge for Justin right now. So
impossible.
So like and subscribe button down below. While you're down there, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, buy a t-shirt, buy some merch, man. We have some
that
cool
helps
merch.
Us as well.
Yeah.
StreamYard's like $90 a month. It's ridiculous. So
yeah. Yes. And having said that, we want to thank you guys so very much for joining us. We are going to be having content galore coming up here in the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yeah, we're pretty much going to be weekly from here on out, I think.
Yeah, so. Next weekend, on the 27th and 28th, there's shows both days. We're actually going to be recording on the 28th, I think. Wait, no, that's not true. Wait, let me look at the date. Hold on. What date is
While he's looking, for those who are wondering where Jen is, she's cleaning her swimming pool right now. And for those that are wondering as well, we're not. We the three of us have had a sit down, and one of the things that we decided when we asked Jen to become a co-host of the show was it was never intended that all three of us are going to be on every single pod. We do have lives outside of this as well. So the idea being is that there will be times where it's just me and Jen, or just Jen and Justin, or just me and Justin, whatever the case may be. So she's happily just cleaning her swimming pool because she's got a whole bunch of sixth graders coming over to pee in it, probably. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so hopefully Jen enjoys that.
And so shall I do my little bit here?
Do your bits, dude.
Do my bit.
Go right ahead.
All right. We'll leave. We've dragged on a bit, so no British swear word of the day. So in the meantime, no matter who you're doing it with, no matter where you're doing it, no matter when you're doing it, don't have my watch on. No matter how you're doing it, just when you're doing it, make sure. Go on, Justin.
March on.
March on. Ciao.
Bye, everyone.